So today's demonstration will be on a book called The Tree of Life, an expose of physical regencies on the threefold plane bodily, chemical, and spiritual operation by Dr. George W. Carey. Excellent book, a book that was published 1917. I'm going to get straight to part one. Wonders and possibilities of the human body. So the human race has been asleep and has dreamed that property and money are the true wealth of a nation, sacrificing men, women, and children to the chimera idea and danced in visionary splendor through their brains. The result of this is the scene of an uneasiness that prevails everywhere, but humanity is waking up, slowly but surely, and beginning to realize that itself is the most precious thing on earth. So, so this is a book published in 1917, and it's people understanding that the self, tapping into self, the importance of knowing thyself is trending among humanity. This is a book published in 1900s, right? So we in 2000, and you see the way people is on now, right? Everybody into the chakras now. People want to breathe deeply, do the yoga, get the tiger's eye and the amethyst. We trending back into ancient space, right? But this is 1912. So humanity is trending or been trending, right? Or is it the fact that people just in every era of time understood what life is about in this temporary flesh, ascending to the highest pinnacle if possible, right? How to do that. You got to know yourself first. So these philosophies are ancient and it's been around since day one. It's just every era, just like now, every era is the same. You got people that know the high science. They're going to do something, try to do something good with it, build something upon it. Then you got people that know the information, but doing the dark magic. Um, it's always a choice. It's always been a choice. We're just conscious in this era of time. You know what I mean? But let's go back to the Punic Wars. It's the real information, Roman. Like, you know what I mean? Higher self, lower self. And it's as above, so below perspective, a degree rather, when you're analyzing in all things. Benjamin Bay, peace and love. All right, so let me continue for I went on a tangent. Um, so the old established statement that the individuals that make up the race are imperfect is more true that a pile of lumber is imperfect. That is to be that afterward reformed or built into a house, as it is the carpenters. Remember we were talking about construction earlier and how getting the land and but that's an external manifestation degree of it. But then you got carpenter's tools and in another degree. You know how to navigate because you understand the sciences and the ologies of the world where you applying perfected man, like you at a level of like what they say Super Saiyan and Dragon Ball Z or whatnot. These are expressions of you discipline yourself to be looked at as the magi or the noblemen or the like it used to be, right? Legitimate work of spiritual man to take the perfect material everywhere present and build by the perfect law of chemistry and mathematics the perfected harmonious human being, and with this material employ the same law to build up society collectively. So that now you got these societies You got these high priests, you have these orders where it's like people know the high science and they organize with other people with the high science, which just mean Gnostic, people that know what's going on, the politics, from the herbs to where it's at politically, importance of culture, how things went down historically to it got to this point. Like just know what's going on in the world. They're not blinded by Rome to a degree where they just sleep and they just in the matrix. They have an understanding internationally what's going on in the world, which is where it's at, what's important, what's not. Self mastery. It's societies that are on different frequencies. So they're able to manifest, and that's been going on anciently. They've just been called orders, and they've been, called societies. But so it doesn't stop. Um, Let me continue here. Okay, so as it is a carpenter's business to take the lumber, which is perfect as material, and build the house, so it is the legitimate work of spiritual man to take the perfect material everywhere present and build by the perfect law of chemistry and mathematics. The perfected harmonious human being, and with this material employ the same law to build up society collectively. It is a well-known physiological fact that the blood is the basic material of which the human body is continually building. As in the blood, so is in the body. As in the body, so is in the brain. As in the brain, so is in the quality of thought. So if something starts from your thought and then it takes a process of something that's tangible, you see the process always starts within, or it always starts with the I'm controlling myself to do this, or I'm telling myself to do this. As a man is builded, so he think. According to the views of students of modern alchemy, the Bible, the Old Testament, and the New Testaments are symbolical writings based primarily upon this very process of bodybuilding. The word alchemy really means fleshology. So let's deal with this. The word alchemy is dealing with how you handle your flesh. How are you mastering to even change the ethers? Because you're pretty much saying you're changing ethers. You could be mad and then realize the logic in it, and I'm not mad no more. Like 5 seconds, like depending on just where you at with the situation. Um, or changing your habits. You might have a certain type of habits. You realize, you know what? These habits are detrimental to what I got going on in my life. I need to switch something up. My patterns in life, my thinking. And then you just do it. And now you got the effect of that, right? That's transmutating. That's alchemy. Um, but most people on a certain degree, initiate degree, it's like, oh, you turning gold and you dealing with base metals and turn them into liquid. That's just one degree of it. But in old times, alchemy was looked at as self mastery, or being able to transmutate energy in a controlled fashion, like you've mastered it. Right? It's all back to the mastery. Ancient culture. Ancient culture is about mastery. We just wrestling with our flesh, and we come up with all these excuses. But some people don't have much excuses as others, but everybody got different. But that's the ultimate fight, though. We wrestling with the flesh in some degree, right? Um, and our job is to be consciously aware that we want to master all our flaws, like understand that we got them, and then um, so that's alchemy. So alchemy, however, in a broader scope, means the science of the solar rays. Gold may be traced to the sun's rays. The word gold means solar essence. The transmutation of gold does not mean the process of making gold, but does mean the process of changing gold solar rays into all manner materialized form, vegetable, mineral. So I lost my page. Hold on. And when they're talking about that ray, they're talking about that thought. You getting a thought, and how you think is based on your ruling planet. That's the ray. You getting the rays from the Elohim, the seven ruling planets that make up you. So just to uh, expound on that, because like, what's a ray? Solar rays. Like, oh, alchemy, however, in a broader scope, means the science of the solar rays. Like, if you don't kind of explain that, you can't just expect people to understand like what that means. So, but that's a degree of information of like when you become scholarly, you cross reference things. So when I see solar ray, I know because I read it in other books that we're talking about energies from planets that are in the Milky Way. The seven ruling planets for human beings are the most influential things. Like our character is based on the well blend of these planets. You know, Trinity, right? Your rising moon sign, sun sign. Then you got a whole chart where you got planets in certain houses, and that gives you your temperament. That gives you the way you think, the way your outlook on life, why you do what you do. We grab, it's that's right. So, um, and the alchemy in that is if you got certain tendencies based on how your astrological alignment is, and then you understand that about yourself, now you can. That's the first step to even be an alchemist, to know what you're dealing with, so you know how to make the tweaks. But the fact that you're willing to make the tweaks, that's where you cross over with the mastery thing. Because most people is struggling with their cell phone. I ain't got no problem. Ain't nothing wrong with me. That's the issue, right? Some people take longer than others to get to. And everybody got their thing, whatever it may be. But it's like a crossroads that happens. Um, okay, let me continue here. So the ancient alchemists studied the process of nature and her operations, from the volatile to the fixed, the fluid to the solid, the essence to the substance, or the abstract to the concrete, all of which may be summed up in the changing of spirit into matter. Something you can't see, you have a realm that you can't see, you have a realm that you can see. The realm that you can see is the carnal experience, the flesh. I can see you. You can see my vessel. You can't see the entity controlling the vessel. You can't see that. You can just see the manifestation of what I'm telling my vessel to do. And you like, oh, you did this vessel is developing certain patterns. So ideally, whoever's controlling the vessel, this is what they own. But you can only understand that by observation of somebody for like maybe 5, 10, a nice amount of time. Because it's a scientific perspective. You have to observe the data and then can draw conclusions, right? So see how there's more science? It's more science in everything. Like everything is about looking at something from a scientific perspective, because everything is measurable. Um, Let me continue. Oh, Egypt. He mentioned Egypt. That's what it was. So the word Egypt. So let me back up. The word alchemy really means fleshology. All right. So you're dealing with mastering your flesh. That's before I went on the tangent. That was my point I wanted to highlight. It is derived from Kim, in the ancient Egyptian word meaning flesh. The word Egypt also means flesh or anatomy. Most people not remember this book was published in 1912. Um, And I never seen nobody talk about Egypt in this context, meaning talking about flesh, even though he's onto something, and that's based on his other studies, but they're not presenting Egypt like that. And this is more metaphysical. So I want to go to the metaphysical and cross reference. This is the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary by Charles Fillmore. So let's deal with how he approached Egypt. What do you say? The word Egypt also means flesh or anatomy. Okay. So let's go back to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary by Charles Fillmore. Egypt, mental bondage to sense thoughts. So you're pretty much a slave to your lower self. Mental bondage to sense thoughts, material consciousness. It pertains to the physical sense of life, the corporal organism. So we're talking about the like you got corporal and incorporeal hereditaments, or you got actual inheritance or inheritance that's considered intellectual property. Corporal means the flesh, something the physical. So it pertains to physical senses of life and your mental bondage to that. Your real self is enslaved to the flesh. You're supposed to be in control of it in the ideal world. This is how the author's using Egypt in his book, The Tree of Life. So what I mean by different degrees of authors, different degrees of people with comprehension. If you read that to somebody when grew up in this society under the John D. Rockefeller indoctrinated school system, general education board, they're gonna be like, why is he using Egypt like that? Right. So, and then when you break that down, well, Egypt is a misnomer for the land that's really uh Tamaray. And then you do the etymology of Tamaray, start talking about the land of the Moors. So Egypt is like a nickname for the Moors during a certain time period, where certain dynasties were at its height of our people. And then, the colonists after, whoever win the war, they're gonna tell the story that best suit them, right? So through the lens of that, they calling us Egyptians, they calling us Latino, black, they calling us a lot of stuff, but it's our job as the modern day nobles to put our people on uh, in an intelligent way, in a genius way, outside the box way. This is one of them. Making highlights like this to show you that there's more that meets the eye. Egypt is a misnomer, so obviously it's a code word as well, and it also has a different meaning. Um, so I wanted to highlight that. Also, metaphysical. Let's go into the metaphysical more definition of the word Egypt. The realm of substance and life in the depths of the body consciousness. Still talking about the physical. To the unregenerate soul, it is the land of darkness and misery. Yet it is essential to the perpetuation of the body. See how you talking about the flesh? That's why they want to keep talking about the Egyptian. Right? When you're not having a ward or a minority perspective on what Egyptian is or Egypt is, you understand why they're trying to box us into being Egyptian like that, rather than saying, the greater Moorish Empire. Oh, the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians. Then they keep saying ancient because today the Egyptians, they thing got situated in 1950s. It's like the Kingdom of Morocco. But when you speak in ancient Egyptian, remember the word didn't even exist during the time Islam. during the time of the people that they're calling Egyptian, they wasn't calling themselves Egyptian. The word Egypt wasn't even existed. So it's proper to say Tom Mare. That's what it was called before that. Ta Mare, the land of the my bad, brother Hassan. Islam, you got it. You got the floor, brother Hassan.
Islam. Just a comment. So you think maybe that they made Egypt, put Egypt on a pedestal like that to try to make us feel like we came from there to keep us away from the true knowledge that we came from here and we were already on this land right here, a maxim. And I you.
Islam. Yep, that's one of them. That's one of the reasons because we're looking at Egypt as being over there, even though that's southeast. That's southeast of Mexum, but that's not exclusively a Mexum. Northwest of Mexum is where all the ancient civilizations was the monuments and the receipts left behind, like the pyramid with the steps. All this over here. The Temple of Moon and Sun, which in the Bible they talk about Mount Sinai. And the etymology was the sin thing. It take you back to the moon or the lunar. So all that stuff is over here. Um, Somebody else chiming in. Burning Watson Bay, Islam.
Islam is like we got to be mindful of the constructive language too, because like you said, Egypt is like it's a misnomer, and they disorientate us, which with their gradual construction of the language over time to where now we're disorientated. And to me, one of the greatest things Noble Drew Ali ever expounded upon us was that this was Northwest Africa. And we already know Africa itself is a misnomer, but he's talking about a global presence of our people. And we have to be all in accord in that mindset. That's the ancient mindset he was talking about. I yield.
Islam. He said this Northwest Africa, but he also gave a disclaimer too. He was like, "I'm gonna say this is Africa, but the true and divine name is a Mexican. I'm gonna say Africa just because I know that's where y'all at." He gave you a disclaimer too. So, but yeah, this is Northwest. We in it right now. It's just getting the law and history so polished where we can be proper ambassadors for the nation, where we speaking with an intelligent tone like people with nationalities everywhere across the world speak. They first of all practice their culture in real time, and then they have a demonstration. They got town, the pockets of towns, business economy. They're flourishing. So that's what we need to do, and that's what we're trending. That's what the whole point of getting land and all this stuff. It's just it's been a long time since the Moors at a large scale have been approaching it like this. So we already know we already know the ever since Noble Drew Ali got assassinated, it's been fractionalized. That kind of slowed us down. But these are questions people ask. It's like, what happened? Like all this information out here, well, we ain't got nothing great. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Peace. I just wanted to
Islam.
in on to what it was saying in the book. It was
Mm.
was it what did it say? Kimi means of the land or the blood.
Oh, let me go back to it. I know what you're talking. Yeah, it is derived from Kim, an ancient Egyptian word meaning the flesh, meaning flesh.
Okay,
Hmm.
because from my understanding, learning Metunetter, Kim Kim is the ibis bird, and the ibis bird Kim means to dig. When I was teaching Kemetic carpentry, the ibis bird, who is Tahuti, you know, the the deity of intuition and mathematics. He's the ibis bird. So the ibis bird means Kim. And when the ibis bird head is down, he's digging. But when the ibis bird head is up, it means Ku, Ku. Hence Kemet and Cush. And when we talk about ancient Kemet, of course, we know that's Almexim. However, when you're talking about uh, them saying it belongs to that, the land and the man being made out of clay kind of goes hand in hand to me. I yield.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that was because the theme is, felt people chimed in, but we were laying a parallel with the construction industry and how when you start getting into the introductory classes of this and they lace you on like what's the history of construction, where it come from, they're gonna be like the ancient Egyptians, right? So we're kind of making parallels and other cross-referencing material to show like all roads lead back to building, right? And how this is an ancient thing in a covenant, a divine covenant that we link up and do this. Like you're supposed to do this to be in harmony with nature. We just late. That's another thing, right? So it's divine because we didn't have to get this information. We could have still been right. So, but once we get it, we got to link up with people that know this is where it's at and build each other, build alliances and rapport, and it becomes a brotherhood and sisterhood, it becomes a network.
Absolutely. The Noble Dry Lead, Circle 7, Quran, chapter 5, in which he's talking about carpenter's tools. And then it goes into chapter 6 in regards to Jesus talking about, how he was a carpenter. Of course, they know Jesus was a carpenter. And the metaphysical meaning of the symbolism of Jesus, meaning justice, and 90 degrees. Because when you hit 90 degrees, as I'm building as a carpenter metaphysically, we know that when we hit 90 degrees, we are reaching justice. That's our higher self.
Islam. Islam. And that's as carpentering tools are your tools to use to, attempt to bring that higher self out of yourself to promote the peace. It's the tools. Are you analyzing yourself? What are your flaws? What do you need to work on? Let me cut this. Let me use this tool to cut this unnecessary stuff out. It's not serving me no more. Like, you know what I mean? It's all about growth and development, right? Getting the kinks out so we can ascend. We got blockages, you know what I mean? Internal and external.
Cut out the parts, to use the axe, everything.
Yeah. But so this is speaking of carpentry metaphysically, right? Everything we're talking about to control the flesh. And then of course we got construction where you're seeing this buildings and stuff, but it's all related and it's ancient because you're taking blueprints in your mind and turning it into something that's can be your estate that could be passed down. It's physical now. You took it from metaphysics to the physical, but you use an ancient principle, you know what I mean? Somebody had a hand raised in the chat. Oh no, Benjamin Bass said something. Islam, let me hear from you, man. I'd rather just hear it from you because I don't hear from you so often. So I just want to hear your perspective, man. I just want to hear your voice, man.
Oh no, I was just something about I'm not trying I like the California area.
I think your earpiece, you know how I sound like it's underwater?
Come on. Yo.
Okay, there you go.
I might. Yo. All right.
Yeah.
What I was saying earlier, I was saying about Mount Sinai and things of that nature, and I had saw a reel about how California and area is that. The Red Sea. Sorry, I'm in the gym, so it's kind of wild, but the Arabian Sea and the Red Sea is like all over there in that area. honest to know what Ali is saying. This is the old world and giving us, clues like where Memphis is and Mississippi River being actually made by us. You know what I mean? And as far as like the shim and things of that nature, it automatically made me think of the metaphysical part. So like, if you think about East and West and like the left and the right and shit brings, you're going from an old mindset to a new mindset. You know what I mean? So honest to know that Ali is getting out of the mental slavery, which in my opinion would be the old mindset to our nationality, our self-law and mastering, which I would think is like the ultimate mastery. Like more science is like the conquering of the flesh, because all the time I self-law and mastering, which creates peace. You know what I mean? So in the exact moment, I self-law and mastering, so I'm not like causing buckets and things of that nature. I'm conquering my flesh by knowing who I am and not just being a prick. You know what I mean? Being love, being the act. You know what I mean? But not to be blabbling and all that. But yeah. Islamism is fighting the flesh. More science is that by self-law and mastering. But I yield. Thanks for letting me blabble, y'all. Peace.
God, I love it when you babble, man. Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, no, but exactly what he said, so it's a direct correlation. Fernando Watson Bay, you got something?
Islam.
Islam.
I was going to speak on how the science, right, is really inner working. We all have to do our due diligence and self mastery, right? And we all have the tools, and that's basically what more science is like is giving us the tools. Joe Ali have given us the tools to draw. You know what I'm saying? Because he already drew, and we just gotta keep doing due diligence and self development. I yield.
Wow. Islam. So in the book it's saying it is believed by modern students of alchemy that the books of the Old Testament and New Testament are a collection of alchemical and astrological writings dealing entirely with the wonderful operation of aerial elements, spirit, in the human body, so fearfully and wonderfully made. The same authority is given for the statements, quote, know ye not that your bodies are the temple of the living God, and come into are the temple of the living God. So even in ancient writings, and it's good to know these type of things too, because when we're doing our missionary work on whatever level, we want to connect where our people is at. Most of our people are Christians, so I like knowing their book very well, because even though it's been like remixed, there's still stuff in there that's ancient, like principles like we're just reading right now. The kingdom within. There's a bunch of little things in there that reference just knowing yourself, or so yeah, it's not of that. Let me check the chat. I see somebody put something in the chat here. Hassan put in the chat, the Bible is astral theology, basically. Pretty much, it's talking about the stars. It's a astrological book, from the three wise men. We're talking about linear stars, from the seven Elohim. We're talking about actual planets, the seven ruling planets in the Milky Way that control your attributes. The list goes on, from them talking about different gates, talking about the certain animals in the Noah, what's the boat? The Noah's flood. It was a boat, a bunch of animals in there, but they're referencing your astrological sign and different things of that nature. It's never ending. It's just
Noah's Ark, Grand Street. Noah's Ark.
Oh, Islam. Thank you, man. Noah's Ark. There you go. Appreciate you. Yeah, so all these is astrological references, and it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran with the Q. It's in all major religions, it's in Buddhist texts. Saying there's a lot of commonalities in all of these books of self mastery and astrological connection, as above, so below principles, yin and the yang principles, masculine, feminine principles, self mastery principles. All this is old world. Humanity study these type of things, even like martial arts, yoga. Being stretched out, getting the kinks out of your body, so your transmitters and your internal workings can send proper signals. Because you could be slow, or you might not be so enthused one day to do certain things because you just ain't feeling good, and all you had to do is stretch or get some acupuncture or something to just know how to release. And even that type of information or consciousness is not that's not what's going on right now our people are on that as a whole. And it's to our demise. And we're not inspired to do certain things for a lot of different reasons, right? Not only the information, and they took our culture and lied to it, but when you get in depth what our culture was, we're just talking about our nationality politically, what that means politically. But when you start diving into like how we conducted ourselves, our habits and customs, we did things that were therapeutic. Even the pajama pants. I was the pajama pants the boys be wearing. Like that's so you ain't got no restraints and restrictions. Like you flowy. Like most of the dojos and the martial arts, everybody got flowy. They're wearing robes. They wearing something comfortable. While they
I'm
throwing
not.
these punches and kicks.
I'm glad you said that because I would be on my nephew about that. We go somewhere, take him to get his haircut. Never fails pajama pants. Never fails. So I'm glad you put that perspective for me. And I'll be like, I'm like, come on, man, get yourself together, man. Like, I'm like, you always put on these orange sweats and slides and these pajama pants, but I do need to get my and all of it's friends to all the homies, like all the hoodie and pajama pants.
Brother B, you upside down, man. Flip your camera around. You upside down.
Oh my bad. That it.
You
I got
back.
my bed turned like this because I'm doing like.
Word. Now you good. Like you was on the roof and everything, hanging down and stuff, man. You good now, B.
That's kind of funny because my phone is upside down.
No, you good now.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great way to look at it now. I guess that's all the young the preteen wear. They're flowy and all. I guess it makes sense, but it's like, oh man, it always look good, man. But comfortability is you're comfortable, you can I guess think comfortable, you know, you got on restrictive like clothing, you can't do certain things mentally or physically. So it's under that.
Yeah, Islam. And just for the record, the pants I was talking about, I wasn't talking about the pajama pants like you going to bed in today, like it's a pajama set. I'm talking about it's like some Moorish pants that they look flowy. They look like karate pants.
Oh, you gotta
The,
give me
the
that.
MC Hammer, you talking about the
Yeah,
MC Hammer joints, man?
yeah. Something like that. Yeah. I
Bobby
think
Brown.
yeah. Yeah, talking
Yeah,
about him.
yeah, them joints that was fluffy in the middle but tight around the calf muscle when they was doing the dances. Yeah, the Bobby
Yeah,
Brown joint. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
kind of
something
like
like
how we
that.
used to put rubber bands on our jeans so the dye wouldn't get on our Air Force. It was in high school and middle school, something like that. Well, that's something like that. But yeah, it kind of made them look like that, like crunchy at the bottom but still flowy. But you just didn't want dye on your Air Force Ones. Yeah,
Yeah, man. But ultimately that's a lot of our people were into martial arts, and yoga, martial arts, and breathing is all intertwined. So it's back to the mindset of our ancient ancestors, back to old time religion. Old time religion is what we're talking about. It's like the what were we doing habitually, consistently in the old world. And that's what we got to get back to, because we manifested at a higher clip. It was more structured. We were more into health and know how to get them kinks out. We was talking about to have a higher quality of life, to even try to activate a pineal. And all these, like the brother said in the chat, 7 hermetic principles and mastery of that, mastery comprehension of the 7 hermetic principles. You using that for good. That's where the high priest come in, because this is alchemy. Because you got different degrees of human beings on the earth. That's where you got the wise men, and you got people that's not so wise, right? And then the wise men can choose to use dark magic, and now you got that's pretty much what Rome is. How Rome came about. It's our people that chose to use dark magic, and the mulatto children was inspired because their mothers was the harem, and their fathers was the grunt workers. I mean, their fathers was the noblemen, and they went, and now we got the Roman thing, and they going, the world is split. We going to war with each other, and everything got to where it's at today. But um, it's powerful. It's powerful. We need to use this ancient knowledge for good. It was it's magi and wise men in every era of time. That's a heavy thing. Because remember, this flesh is temporary. So the whole goal is to do good work, build something, build an empire, and pass it down. Right? Now we're back to that trust law. Let's see here. Where do we leave off? It is believed by modern students of alchemy that the book of the Old and New Testaments are a collection of alchemical and astrological writings. So I think I could it's 1208. We gotta go over the treasury. Let me read just a little, like 2 more paragraphs. We can transition to the treasury and the land space. So the real ego manifests in a house, Beth, or a church, or a temple, i.e., soul of man's temple. So we're talking about Solomon's temple. We're talking about what is from a higher degree. When they say Solomon's temple, you understand it to be the soul of man. You understand that the flesh is the house, but it's not you. The real you is supposed to be controlling the house. You're supposed to be getting in the car. You're supposed to be hitting the push button or the car, cranking the engine. You're supposed to be shifting the gears of Beth or the church or the temple. The real you. The temple is not supposed to be controlling you. The car not supposed to be making you move. You making the car move. You getting in the car to make the car move. How the car controlling you? Right. Of course, we can say it like this, but we know that's the war. That's the ultimate battle. That can't be seen in words. I mean, can't be seen or can't be told in words. That's David and Goliath. That's all these expressions anthropomorphically in the Bible, like, tie back to this, the ultimate struggle with yourself. Who gonna win? The real you or the flesh? Who gonna win? And that's micro, macro, individually and community. And all these things determine your political status. Because if you're in a community of people that are exercising a certain plane of thought, a certain degree of understanding and self-mastery, that's a political status change amongst that group of people. And you're going to magnetize, your dealings are going to typically be with people that know their nationality or have culture. You're going to be doing dealings with them. Trade, alliances, collaborating on ideas. Right? Islam, Vernon Watson, yeah. On the flip side, right? So, this is we're talking about the mind frame of an ambassador of a nation state, or a person that know they have a nationality and they're choosing to be active. However you want to word it, It takes organization of the people being on the same page, having good dealings, and then manifesting incrementally. You know, they got investment groups, they got all type of people gentrifying our communities because we're not organized as a whole. And people that are organized are going to take advantage of people that aren't all day, no matter how much we complain. That's what it is. So we all we got. I think I'm gonna stop right here. I gotta read this line. It's killing me. It's just itching at me. It's no wonder that the seers and alchemists of the old what? The old world declared that your bodies are the temple of the living God. So the body just is a temple. That means somebody's living in it. The real you is who? Right? Your body controls the temple. The kingdom of heaven is within you. These are Morris books. This is not a Morris author. You already read who the author is, George. What's his name? That's the author. I think he's modern Europe. I think he's a modern European, actually. But the book was published in 1912. So most older, yeah, Dr. George W. Carey. So PhD level intellect is telling you where it's at. From a Gnostic perspective. So it's well known. So when you know this stuff and you know that there's crates and crates of published books, early 1900s, 1880s, that understand that it's brainwashing to talk about certain things. To talk about things in a certain way amongst a group of people, knowing they don't know better for monetary gain or whatever the case may be. Right, Islam, Brandon Watson Bay. The more science paradigm should inspire you to do some great stuff. Oh, the book brought up Solomon's Temple, so I was going to cross-reference that with this, just for reinforcement. The grand architect, the universe builds Solomon's temple, soul of man's temple of the body, in the darkness and silence with no tools and no hands. The Ark of the Covenant is the ark created by the womb when the woman is pregnant, a perfect ark. The covenant is the agreement to bring in the souls. So reinforcement on what the book was talking about, the modern European and his old world culture, news, philosophy, way of life is where it's at. Everybody knows it. It's just the black, Negro, colored, Hispanic, Latino, Puerto Rican, Indian, Native Americans in the Americas have been colonized by the scroll system. But some people that are fortunate enough to go back to their root, they understand that this space is where it's at. It's just a lot of our people aren't knowledgeable to communicate with them. Once again, like I'm in this construction space, a lot of quote unquote Latinos in this space, and I speak with them. You build rapport with people. I got like a little crew that I work with. I think like 5 of us where we do little jobs together. But all the Mexicans I address this space to, as far as how the Moors, they fathers and mothers, there's no debate. There's a city right now called Yanga. People darker than me right there. It's multiple cities actually. He told me, bro, like, look, there's more people that look like you in Mexico in certain parts that look like me. But how will we get to him saying that? What purpose would he have to tell me that unless I'm talking to him in such a way? So that's back to the intelligent tone and how this is an international movement. Because it's old news, actually. It's just, like I say, when people come to North America, they see us in such a low vibrational state. They're like, that's just what it is. That's just like a little subculture up here. But like in the Sundry Free Moors Act, it's the same thing. It's just we gotta do it at a larger clip, you know. Um, so I wanted to show that. Any thoughts? And back to the mother-son thing, right? Because we need the mothers to create the covenant that play instrumental part of the covenant, which is to bring the souls in here to have this experience, to do great work, manifestation work. Somebody finna say something?
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, like you just talked about with the brothers from the South America. When they come here, yeah, a lot of that is they don't open up because we using colorful terms, and in those parts down in most parts in South America, they don't use those. It's not until you get to North America and a lot of people here that's listening or having this conversation know that only that the colorful terms are used here in North America. Like I had conversation with brothers from Africa and even South America, and the guy he wasn't born in South America, but once I showed him certain things, and it was years ago, and he was like, "Oh my goodness!" But then he reflected to though not using those colorful terms to look up on these things and kind of refer back to his parents and things like that, of how they looked at certain things, like knowing that there were dark skinned people in those lands in the South. Islam.
Islam. Hmm. Yeah, it's like reconfirmation. Because we learn the stuff in the books, but somebody from that actual place was confirming, like, yeah, there's probably more people that look like you, quote unquote, black or African American, look like me. When you like go through start getting more southern in Mexico, deeper you get off into Mexico, people's getting more melanated, and they didn't come from Africa either. They've been there. That's why I always talk about El Yanga, because he's a national hero of Mexico. Darker than me, and what he was notably known for is fighting off the Spaniards or the conquistadors. So you're talking about in the 1500s. And he was like, yeah, they talk about this in school in Mexico. The brother I work with at the construction site, he like, yeah, they talk about it in our schools. They just don't talk about it out here. Right? You know what I'm saying? So when the prophet talk about intelligent tone, we talking about that's going to take you a long way, because we need to network with our people. These Mexicans is part of the empire too. We can't play the skin tone game. It's all about allegiance. Clearly, they're mixed. If they're lighter skin, they're clearly licked. They're a product of the rape of the conquistador. But if they're showing allegiance and getting tattoos of Mayan insignia and Aztec insignia, and that lets you know their allegiance is towards the indigenous American side. And if that's the case, we got to show them where it's at so we can link up and show them how like we the same people, and that goes somewhere. Vernon Watson Bay, Islam.
Do you think it's still Moor Science Temple in Mexico?
I don't know. I don't think so. I do know. I saw some black fezzes out there though, like a couple years ago. That they were doing something, but I don't know how they going about it. But there's some type of expansion going on as far as more on the continent. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, but I feel like I would have heard about it. I spoke with a lot of different people, but you never know. Mexico big. But I seen some pictures though of some Moors and black pheasants. They were doing something. They was having some type of meeting a couple of years ago, and a lot of their old presidents too. I posted something on Instagram. He was like, he had a fez on. You know, it just get tricky because, like for example, the King of Hawaii. Have you ever seen the picture of the King of Hawaii, the last king? How he got the fez on, but it's marked up, and then they got the crescent over the moon. Which symbolizes this connection of the matriarch. So that's where it get tricky. I'm like, man, okay, like what's going on with that? It's just certain little pockets of history that's not fully explained. But clearly everybody was fed and turbaned up though. Even in Hawaii, Samoa, all the Polynesian islands, Moros. We know the empire was split up between Barbary and Tartary, but we were still in connection with each other. We know we did global trade. It's just, but Islam.
I want go back to how you was talking about how in Christianity they had some of the science in it, and I don't know if anybody noticed that picture, that depiction of Jesus with his heart chakra aflame and his crown chakra aflame.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep, that's what the prophet talk about, the lion and the lamb lying together in yonder hills on a different degree, right? You got the lion, which is Leo representing the heart, and you got the lamb, which is Aries, dealing with the head, right? So you got to be balanced. You got to be mental, but also be a humanitarian, right? You got to have a balance. You can be an earth sign and everything, be logical and got to be disciplined and all that, but you also got to know how to be compassionate with people
Right.
and show some feelings and show that you care too. And not all the way
Yeah,
about
I look at
the
it. Yeah, I look at it like if you vibrating below the heart chakra, then you have like a warped look at reality. If you vibrate above the heart chakra, anything above the heart chakra, you like have an enlightened view of reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Islam,
Islam.
Islam, Islam. Stop
Islam.
right there. I like that point that you just brung up, Brother V. Now listen, let me give you this. So explain to me why, like, those beautiful hearted souls in this world sometimes fall victim and be like around the wrong person and show them love and they do some horrific things to them. Explain why does that happen? Like you can, like basically you said, if you operate above the heart chakra, that means you're gonna give everybody a chance. You're gonna see the light in everyone, even those who disrespectful.
And
Those who show you that they're. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Just break that down for me, fam.
their heart chakra may be aflame, but their crown chakra may not be. So that may be the dilemma right there.
And two, I want to add that you say you graduate to the heart chakra level, that means you're a humanitarian for the most part, but you can't really control somebody else, you know. Um, and signs that that you're heading that way is how you handle a situation before and give it a shot, at dealing with it from a different perspective, because you might have had a debate with somebody who was you had a position that you wasn't budging. Um, but now you might be like, you know what? Maybe that person is trying to vent or something, and he just needed an ear to hear. He needed me somebody just to listen to. You know, that's more of a wiser. It's just different degrees.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right, because a degree of actually having that humility where you can understand other points of view, that's a definitely trait of vibrating above the heart chakra, but also to be able to have this like that empathy and that different effect. That's the basically quintessential aspect of that energy being recycled back down and coming back, because what we're talking about is Kundalini energy, serpentine energy. It's spiraling up and spiraling down and coming back up. So when that energy is right in between the heart chakra and the crown, you're going to make decisions differently. You're gonna look at the world differently.
Yeah. And I think you're coming from the perspective too, like if somebody trying to manipulate you, or how would you respond? And I guess I was
I
trying to
mean,
separate the fact like Noble Joe Ali say, if you're in a corner, drop the world on somebody if you have to, but as long as you're doing it for self-preservation and you're not on no bully tactics and you're not out here stirring up nothing crazy,
right,
you can be in your heart, you can be in your higher self all day, but and still invoke the discipline too. you know,
right.
that don't change nothing.
No, you're right.
I would like to add, like, Noble Ali had tons of dirty words around him. He said it. He was like, "No, fuck these niggas and all that, da, da, da." Excuse my language, but I'm just saying, he still operated from the heart chakra. He was like, "Yo, watch out." You know what I'm saying? This is what this is. Your own are going to turn you into slavery. It's going to be a few of you left. That lets me know he was viewing like, oh man, a lot of these Moors aren't operating from the heart chakra. So if you are, you can tell who is. You know what I mean? And Noble Ali still did his work here and in the soul clan. So it's like, he was still thriving in the heart chakra where everyone around him was basically like against it, thought he was just a joke, and just some guy. So despite what's going on around, on Noble Ali show, you can still be in your heart chakra and thrive at the highest degree. So I yeah.
Islam. So yeah, so it's basically safe to say that you can operate like this more comfortably within your nation. You cannot operate like that out in the world because let me give you an example. Say like right now, I get like into some money, right? And I just go somewhere where it's very poor and I just start handing people money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people gonna rejoice, but there's gonna be a few in the background that's gonna be plotting and scheming and hit me. You heard, and get the whole bag and F the whole operation of trying to help the community. You know what I'm saying? That's where I
Right.
was coming from with the thing about operating in love. You gotta operate in love around like-minded people that have the same views and outlook on life in you. We can't operate in love out here in this jungle. Islam, I yield.
Um,
I mean,
I
I
agree.
mean, Jesus, I did, go against what you're saying, brother. Jesus didn't hang out with you. He was hanging out with the thieves, the murderers, and things of that nature. I'm not saying go to the heart of the ghetto and try to preach more science, but we still have a duty or responsibility despite when I walk out the door, I don't leave more science. You know what I mean? I know not to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, you guys know Nelly? But no, if someone comes up to me or something like that, or I have an opportunity to display that, I will, despite where I'm at. You know what I mean? I know not to. Noble Ali say, "Hey, don't go in the dark valley with your fez on." I know where not to be. You know what I mean? But that don't mean I'm not gonna be who I am, despite the jungle or wherever it be. I'd rather be in the jungle because that's where it needs to be to work at. So, yeah, that's how I look at it. Not trying to go against what you're saying, but I get it. A lot of our people try to get back and they get smacked. But that shouldn't kill the drive of what the mission is. Like Noble Ali. What if he had that idea? I'm only gonna be with more that know stuff. That's the feature purpose of the mission. You know what I mean? So despite what happened, I feel like you still gotta push on. That means that go recklessly doing something evil. You should practice being bigger than the program, I would say, Not saying you're willing to die for it, but to a certain degree, Noble Ali was like, hey, I gotta go to the soul plan, y'all tripping. I'm sure he wasn't suicidal, but he was like, clearly I can't do anything here. You know what I mean? But he still didn't stop the mission. But I'm not saying go somewhere be dangerous, but because I'm sure Brother Monty be in places somewhere where it'd be like, whoo, you know what I mean? But he's there and patient, that's his baby in there and things of that nature. But I'm sure he's in places a lot of times where he shouldn't be. But I'm sure he's being intelligent while he's there. So I get it.
wow.
Yeah, there has to be a balance. It's a,
Trey, yeah.
Yeah, everybody chime in.
Yeah,
I
or was
want to
it
hear
somebody
everybody.
trying?
You got it, Trey. You got the floor.
Or was this some? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying shout out to bro. Uh, and it sounds, I think it sounds like know, y'all like be one,
You breaking up.
you know,
You breaking up
am I
pretty
breaking
bad.
up?
Yeah. But do a mic check.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, you was breaking up pretty bad, Trey.
Can y'all hear me now?
Oh, that's way better. That's way better.
That's 100. Yeah.
Wait there. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was saying shout out to, both my brother Hassan and Benjamin said. I think it was like just hearing both of y'all, it was kind of, sound like, we basically gotta, one, be realistic, and then two, like, move and act with a balance. Because, like my brother Hassan was saying, like there's people that
You went out. You went out.
Yeah, he gone. I guess he lost service.
Yeah, you probably in the mountains.
we gotta be
That
more
boy.
alert right now and more protective than just, you know, just giving out or whatever, then that's what may need to be done. But it's, I already know, like brother Hassan, like even if he was in, a tough place, if you felt like one of those brothers was talking to you and coming to you with genuine love, you gonna show some love with the knowledge or whatever it may be, but you also are aware of how the situation can turn into, you know, something else that's not good. So I mean, I could be wrong on it, but basically when I was just listening to y'all, I was just like, just handling things with a balance and just trying to let, the Most High, guide us in how to handle situations the best way we can for the better overall of everybody. But, but I yield on that.
Islam. Yeah.
Islam.
You got the floor, brother. Islam.
Yeah, like even having that conversation, especially dealing with the root chakra and and on those chakras, like dealing with my higher self. Like even yesterday, I had like a family member come over, a cousin of mine, and I don't know from out of nowhere, like because I was sharing my Wi-Fi with him, and he's saying the word Allah, and he wanted to talk about that. And then he also knows that me being into more science, he wanted to talk about Noble Drew Ali, and it kind of like the way he was bringing it. And then I had to, within my head, I was like, I just want to let him have it. I want to give it all. I want to drop the world on him, but I was thinking, well, especially dealing, being here and listening to the brothers and stuff. I had to calm myself before I even got, because some of the stuff he was saying, I could tell that he's not very knowledgeable, or he's been misled. So I had to tell him he needs to do more studying rather than just going at him. So because I was like, I think I'm gonna have to cut it short talking to him about this, because within myself, I know I'm getting a little, peed off or whatever. I'm about to lose control, and I don't want to lose control. So I
Yeah.
had to, I had to just tell him, you do more studying, and then maybe, it'll come to you. But maybe it's not for you. Maybe this ain't for you. And if it's not for you, you know, maybe something else is, because you're looking at Muslims, and we're Muslims, and we don't, some people may, go into that religious part, but we do it. We, Moors, some Moors do it differently. I say I'm one. Me, I don't really get into the religious part of things. That's for you and you only. But And I just had to shut it off because I was like, I don't want to get out of my higher self because that's what I'm working on. Because a couple of times, even at work, I had blew up a couple of times, and I had to get quiet, and they wonder why I had got quiet at work. And I was like, I got out of myself. I gotta learn to control myself. Because if I don't, I'm not gonna be in the place where I want to be, and I want to be where I can control myself so I can get the information out here, or just live peacefully within my mind and my body. Islam.
Islam. Yeah, speaking on that too, man, like, because you brought up the Muslim thing, I like to approach it like, kind of like you said, it's more of an acronym. You know, Muslim, when you even look up Muslim, it's going to tell you archaically it's called Muslim. Archaic just means ancient. So Muslim is more of an back to the old time religion. It's an old time um, approach from a scientific perspective, astrological perspective, anatomy perspective, because the acronym of Muslim, we got muscles, we got oxygen, we got skeletal systems, we got ligaments, we got being, electricity, knowing that we are electrical, and then the magnetism, right? So when you're looking at Muslim from an adept level, we back to the self mastery as a religion, because religion is something you're doing habitually. With the practice of you're consistently doing something with a habit. So that's how I like to talk about it too, just to add on to what you were saying, because that's a crucial thing. That what he said is something that people lack understanding of or comprehension, is the different degrees where the more come from at being Muslim. You know, um, even people that pray 5 times a day, the origin of these things are different points of the sun. What these energies of the sun do for you holistically. Even the posture of the posture of the prayer on the carpet, the higher degree of understanding would be like, oh, this posture is a yoga posture. When you're in this posture, more oxygen gets to your brain when you're stretched from this bow position. That's a Muslim perspective or comprehension, versus you just doing it robotically because of Prophet Muhammad told me to do it, or something to that degree. It's just different degrees. It's not to bash somebody that is operating like that, but um, just share your comprehension on where it's at. And yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up because that's crucial. That's a crucial point on a divide and comprehension. And some words don't even know how to explain it like that. So now somebody might have ran across a more that they might have been playing church with this information. And then they like, oh no, y'all just like the Hebrew Israelites. So but every time you open your mouth, you have the opportunity to change the ethers and baptize somebody with information to change their perspective. So this is why this is so optimistic and exciting. And we have the opportunity to do great work. So I wanted to highlight Mother and Venus, and of course our star and our Moorish flag is Venus. But back to the whole world and how they understand, or how the world understands Venus, I wanted to highlight an example. People that don't know, everybody in this chat should know Friday is a holy day. That's the day of Venus. And the attribute of Venus is love. So if we come up from love, which is one of the pillars, it leads to a momentum of truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Whatever, it's a catalyst for the other pillars. So Venus's mother, I wanted to look up Venus figurines. And I talked about this last time, but I didn't go to images last time. So when you look up Venus figurines, which the Mayans, the Olmecs, they have these around their temple complexes. Hindustan, Pakistan, the Moors and the Mauryan dynasty over there, and what is today called India and Pakistan. They have these figurines in different temple structures. So let's analyze what this is. What are we looking at? We're talking about it's a woman exaggerated. So you got the breast and showing that the life, Venus is mother. Something I wanted to highlight as an octave to the flag. There's a lot of degrees about the flag. And I think like every 570 something years, it makes this pattern in the sky. Venus is not this pattern. This is a transit. That's a route. What makes up the star. I might be butchering the math on this full constellation, but it makes this path, I believe, every like 570 something years. It completes this path, a trajectory. But Venus doesn't actually look like that. It's that, So there's so many perspectives of, and it's just dialoguing with people about the more science. What is this? Oh, this is my flag. This is what I have allegiance to. This is what it means. This is what this fez, this turban. This is what this means to me, our ancestors. You're just an ambassador of your nation. You have a nationality. So that means you have pride of what your ancestors laid down. Habits and customs, traditions. You're trying to carry that out today in real time. You want to continue that. And somebody's talking to you, you're a representation of that. And you might blow their mind. You might like, you know what? I thought I was black all the time. I thought I was a person of color all the time. You just laced me. And your energy was amazing. Right? Right? That's how you want them to, when they come across them more, they feel good about it. You electrified them. All right. So any thoughts on that before we get into the treasury and the land? All right. So let me stop the recording.
I'm sorry. When you said every time we open our mouth, we got tens and tens of ethers, toes ain't ever heard. If I would ever get tattooed, it'd be that. That was so. Yo, man. It looks like every time we open our mouth, we get tens and tens of ethers. Man, that's an honor and power to the word. You know what I mean? But that was cold.
Wow. Yeah, think about that. Yeah, you're right. That is cool. Like every time you open your mouth, you have a chance to change the ethers. So
You're not the black before, but that's like being an ambassador. You're keeping the ethers, the mind ethers of, the person you're talking to. You know what I mean? Yeah.
fine.
That touched me. That comment just touched me even deeper because it's like it got me wanting to watch my mouth with everybody, bro. Like straight up keep it a hundo. It's like, yeah, you gotta really take this into perspective with everybody you dealing with, even when a mofo is coming at you sideways, you gotta still control and collect yourself. And what you say matters. Like you can control the whole atmosphere, the ethers, the whole atmosphere, or influence someone to go left or right. Like that's deep, bro. That was deep, bro.
Fine. Fine. But yeah, that's what it's about, Just being around different conscious degrees of Moors, continue to, build a momentum, have these type of spaces for refinement, recalibration. That's what the temple or body politic. It's about a lot of different positions we play for each other. I know last week was more on the counseling tip. It was you know what I mean? We was on the counseling tip last week, right? So this is what the brotherhood, sisterhood is about. Like we the same people. We done figured out. We've been duped. We're trying to understand the culture better and to actively display that in real time with like-minded people and manifest something great. And then slowly will expand. And now our name's in history, in the history books. We're doing something noble, passing something down to the heirs, making sure they sharp so they don't gotta waste as much time as we did on certain aspects of life. All right. So let's do one more round of thoughts and then we can close out and shift toward the treasury.
Islam.
Islam.
I shared the link earlier of a YouTube that happened Thursday. It was like a body of a gang of different bodies of Moor that they have this meeting like every so often, but they had one Thursday, and I advise more to go check them out because these are literally Moorish bodies that have done the due diligence to become states within Morocco. So y'all need to check them out.
All right, fine. Okay. So let me stop the recording.